Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at the bishop's opening. It starts with pawn to e4, e5, followed by bishop to c4. While this isn't the most common choice, it's a logical and effective way to develop your bishop early. By placing the bishop on c4, you're immediately targeting the f7 square, which is a key weakness in black's position. This opening can lead to quick development and strong attacking opportunities right from the start. Now, let's go through an example to see exactly how this idea works in practice. This game was played between Ponziani and an unknown opponent. White began with a sharp and aggressive move, the pawn to d4. It's a strong attacking idea that challenges the center. Black responded by capturing the pawn. Instead of recapturing with the queen, an option that is generally weaker, White chose a more strategic path. In this specific case, like in the famous game called the Game of the Temple, White played the knight to c6, attacking the queen. This made it risky for White to recapture the pawn right away. Instead, White advanced the pawn to e5, attacking the knight. At this point, Black realized that the knight had very limited squares to retreat to. So rather than moving the knight, Black played queen to e7, trying to use the pin along the e-file to deal with the threat and relieve the pressure. However, White followed up with queen to e2, renewing the threat and keeping up the pressure. Eventually, Black had no choice but to move the knight all the way back to g8, losing valuable time and falling behind in development. Next, I played knight to f3. This time, Black captured the pawn using the knight. To support that knight, Black played pawn to c5. White then castled kingside, and Black continued with knight to c6, a natural developing move. At this point, White set a clever trap by playing bishop to g5. The obvious and only way for Black to save the queen is to play pawn to f6. After that, White captured the pawn, and Black responded by taking the queen on e2, likely hoping to trade queens and head into an endgame with an extra pawn on d4. And indeed, if White had captured the queen, Black would have had a significant advantage due to their strong central control and material lead. But instead of taking the queen, White played pawn to f7, a quiet move that delivers checkmate in a surprisingly funny and unexpected way. By the way, it's important to highlight that in the final position, the bishop on c4 played a crucial role. That's one of the main ideas behind the bishop's opening. It often creates long-term pressure on the f7 square. In this game, Black struggled throughout because of that constant threat. Now let's move on to the second game, played between Richardson and Delmar. Once again, White chose the bishop's opening. Black responded with knight to f6, and White continued with knight to f3, one of the common and solid setups in this line. In this case, Black played knight takes e4, and White responded with knight to c3. This is an interesting idea. Yes, White gives up a pawn, but the position becomes dangerous for Black if they go for simple exchanges. In the actual game, Black did not go for the most natural continuation. But just for your understanding, if Black does capture the knight on c3, White simply recaptures. At that point, you can already see how far ahead White is in development, with more control over open lines and diagonals, giving a clear initiative in the game. For example, if Black tries to defend the pawn on a5 by playing pawn to d6, then White can respond with knight to g5. At that point, Black is already in serious trouble due to a double threat against the f7 square, something that's very hard to defend against. This shows how dangerous this line can become for Black very quickly. But let's take a step back to the actual game we're analyzing. In this case, Black chose not to go down that line. Instead, he opted for an aggressive approach of his own. Rather than letting White take over the attack, Black sacrificed the knight on f2. This gave him 2 pawns and some attacking chances against White's now exposed king. At this stage, Black had 2 strong central pawns in exchange for the lost knight, and White's king was under pressure. White responded with pawn to d4, trying to block the diagonal and slow down the attack. Black captured the pawn, and it seemed like he was baiting White into recapturing. Why? Because if White took the pawn back, Black had prepared queen to f6, attacking both the king and the knight at once. In that line, White would have been in serious danger, and Black would likely be winning. That's what Black was counting on. But White saw through the trap and didn't take the pawn. Let's rewind a move again. Rather than falling for the bait, White played rook to e1, giving a check. Black moved the king to f8. Even then, instead of going after the pawn on d4, White played knight to a4, an aggressive and active move, and that's something you'll notice often when playing in a gambit or attacking style. You typically don't want to slow down. You want to keep applying pressure and stay on the offensive as much as possible. The key in attacking positions is to never give your opponent time to regroup or consolidate. In this game, Black played bishop to b6, trying to stabilize the position, but White responded with a very sneaky move, queen to d3. At first glance, it might seem like white was simply worried about a possible discovered check if black pushes the pawn and opens the diagonal for the bishop to attack the king. Black likely assumed this was the case and tried to take advantage by playing what looked like a strong reply, preparing to push the pawn forward. But in doing so, black actually fell into a hidden trap. White then played pawn to d5. It seemed like black was about to win material, threatening to capture one of white's minor pieces, and the situation looked pretty bad for white. But this is where things took a dramatic turn. White launched a brilliant combination, starting with queen to a 3-check. After the king moved to g8, white captured the pawn on d5, seemingly sacrificing the bishop. At first glance, it looked like white was just trying to get some material back before losing one of his pieces. Black accepted the sacrifice and captured the bishop, but now it was time for white's attack to explode. White played knight to f6 check, forcing the king into a tight spot. Then came queen to f8, another stunning sacrifice. With the queen gone, white's bishop was free to join the attack with bishop to h6, and finally rook to e8 delivered a beautiful checkmate. An absolutely brilliant game by white, full of hidden tactics and a spectacular finishing sequence. This is just another beautiful example of how powerful the bishop's opening can be when played with an aggressive mindset as white. In the next game, played between Horobets and an unknown opponent, white once again chose the bishop's opening. Black replied with knight to f6, and white continued with pawn to d4, one of the lines we've already looked at. Then came knight to f3, prioritizing quick development. White was even ready to sacrifice the pawn on e4 for activity, though in this game, black didn't take the pawn. Instead, black played bishop to b4. White stuck to his gambit-style approach. Rather than playing passively or aiming to trade pieces early, he focused on rapid development and open lines. He played pawn to c3, inviting complications. Black captured the pawn, and white responded by castling kingside without hesitation. Black also castled to bring his king to safety, but now white launched his central push, pawn to a5. This is a common attacking theme in these types of positions. It's usually the first move that signals white's attacking intentions, pushing into black's territory and opening lines. Black replied with knight to e4, and then white played bishop to d5, forcing the knight to move again. After that, black captured the pawn on c3 but also found his bishop under attack and had to retreat. At this point, white noticed something important. All of black's minor pieces were stuck on the queen side, the left half of the board from white's perspective, leaving the king alone and under-defended on the king side. White seized the opportunity and played knight to g5, building up pressure. Black tried to play knight to a6, hoping to reinforce the defense and trade off white's knight, but white responded with queen to h5, threatening a checkmate in one with queen takes h7. Black had no choice but to trade knights, and then played queen to e8 to defend against the threat. White then played the brilliant move bishop to f6, locking black's position. The bishop cut off key escape squares, trapping black's king and freezing his pieces. If black had captured the bishop, white would simply continue with bishop to e4, followed by queen takes h7, leading to a checkmate. Realizing this, black instead played pawn to h6, trying to create breathing room, but it was too late. White finished the game in style with queen to g6. It was a picture-perfect position. White's pieces were perfectly coordinated, leaving black helpless. With queen takes g7 coming and no way to stop the checkmate, black resigned.